Now, the World Bank's Managing Director of Operations, that's Anna Berge, has encouraged Ghana's government to implement an emergency action plan to address the country's energy crisis. The World Bank says it is committed to providing technical assistance to ensure that Ghana's energy sector contributes to economic resilience. And we're speaking on issues of the economy, but also this then concerns about whether we are in Ghana some level of difficulties as far as energy provision and services are concerned. Now, he says while Ghana's energy difficulties are not unique, they do require immediate response. I also did some checks with some individuals within the industry, and then I also do know that some producers are currently underproducing, and so. Mr. Japa, are we in any form of crisis or we shouldn't be worried at all?
Well, I can assure you that we should not be worried. There are huge problems, no doubt. Okay, but we are working round the clock to deal with all the matters that bedevil the energy sector. And I say this, with all the seriousness that I can gather. Indeed, last week, the IMF Managing Director in charge of operations was in country. They had meetings with His Excellency the President, the Vice President meeting included by Minister, and some of the matters that he spoke about included the energy sector underpayments, if you like, to the IPPs, which became an issue, I believe, a few weeks ago when the country manager of the IMF made reference to the excess capacity payments and its impact on what it is that the energy sector and the entire Ghanaian economy was facing. Of course, he came under a barrage of attacks from our friends on the other side, essentially calling him a liar and all sorts of things, that he wasn't speaking to the facts. But the facts are the facts. Okay? The truth of the matter is that even as of the period when we were sleeping in darkness between 2012, 2013 to 2016, it wasn't because there was not sufficient enough generation capacity. We had sufficient enough generation capacity to meet our needs. In fact, the table that I shared with you, which is actual demand supply balance 2015-2016, shows you that in 2015 we had excess of 909. In 2016, we had 803. But we're sleeping in darkness.
Your point is?
My point is, post that, you see it jumping 1,514, 1,462, 1,333, 1,195, 1,011, and 803. It's peaked and is declining because our demand is growing. But that still doesn't take away the fact that all these excess, which is not energy that you've actually distributed into people's homes, but because of the contractual arrangement that you have to pay for it. So you can argue that ECG may not be collecting all the money that it distributes for the power that it supplies. But this is not power that ECG actually distributes. And so you cannot even begin to expect that the consumer will pay for this power. So somebody has to pay for it. It's you and I. And the accumulation of this obligation over years, together with only two items. The other day, I'm sure I read the text to you. The amount of money that we've spent through contracting debt, because when we came into government, Mr. Haruna Idrusu, and I repeat, said, where's the fiscal space? Because only three items, right? Your total revenue was used to service only three items: wages and salaries, interest payments, and statutory payments. That structure has not significantly changed. Okay? And so all these monies that government had contracted through power purchase agreements that had excess capacity components and all that were all debt that government has had to accrue, for which, because of intermittent threat from the IPPs, you had to find some money somewhere to pay down. So in 2018, we assessed the entire sector and rolled out the energy sector recovery program with support from the IMF. We introduced some mechanisms, the cash waterfall mechanism, natural gas clearinghouse, transition most of the power plants to gas and all that, with a view to reducing the shortfall, which, but for those interventions, would have risen to 12.5 or so billion by 2023. Okay, at the end of the program, we managed to reduce it to about 8 or so billion, but that in itself is not enough. And so we've extended the ESRP to 2025. And the target is for us to reduce the sector shortfall to about 4 or 5 billion.
So we shouldn't be alarmed.
No, of course, I'm telling you what it is that government has done. Okay, and the conversations that have taken place in the past 3-4 weeks when the IPPs threatened and the mechanism that we've put in place that has increased ECG thanks to the yeoman's work that the new managing director is doing there. They've increased their revenue significantly from some 300 million or so last year to about 1 billion today, which then means that they are in a position to pay all the IPPs, okay, which based on some negotiation that have gone on, going forward, government is going to pay them current, if I may put it that way, on all the invoices for energy that they deliver, okay? So we're looking at some restriction of the outstanding obligations and also the shortfall in energy capacity that we are renegotiating, all of that, okay? And so that has been done. There's some assurance that some $543 million that is required to pay the IPPs on a month-by-month basis would be, ECG will be in a position to pay that from the 1 billion that they are working to increase. Okay, there's a plan that was tabled before His Excellency the President just last Friday, looking for some money to enable them do what they call a flat rate scheme to cover those people who are on the system but cannot be identified over a 6-month period, so that they can generate some incremental revenue from there to then begin metering those customers. And so a lot of interventions are being rolled out to ensure that the kind of situation that the World Bank legitimately and rightfully so have identified with our energy sector is resolved.
I sent this story as part of the authentication process with an individual, a source I have in the industry, who is very close to the industry and says that we are an inch close to that. And then also, he says, refer to the WAPCO release on planned emergency shutdowns. They are a nice and professional way to tell you that we are in trouble.
There's no trouble.
Okay.
I have.
Then he also says,
it's unbelievable why people do these kinds of things.
I know for a fact
surprising
that producers are reducing production silently, and this is for your consumption only.
So please, let me deal with it before you go. Yesterday, please, if you permit me, that's important.
You see,
okay,
my senior,
can you lend him 60 seconds?
No, I beg. You see, my senior had produced this document,
yes,
and provide a certain interpretation. You see, I have with me here the Energy Commission report on our energy conversation as at 2015. Now, catch something. Generation plants, Akosombo, so we are dealing with the hydro. Akosombo has an installed capacity of 1,020 megawatts. As at 2015, listen carefully, the average dependable was 900 megawatts. The average available, and usually you see, you do the analysis is with what is available at any point in time. Now, Akosombo, that is over 1,000 megawatts. Can you imagine as at 2015 how much was available? 375 megawatts. And the man is saying that, sit down, put your hand in your Dem River, don't invest, depend on Akosombo. Why? Is it the case that we don't understand the conversation? You have 1,000 installed.
it's a deputy manager.
Please, you have 1,000. Hold on. You have 1,000 installed. Your dependable is 900. What is available for use?
For your information.
Oh, please. It's 375.
Oh, that's false.
And it's in the report. As of 2015.
It's forecast. And I'm saying to you these figures that I've given you are actual.
What is actual?
In any event,
what is actual?
Dependable and available, they are the same.
It's
used interchangeably because if you are not dependable, you cannot be declared available. These are matters of fact.
If you are saying that, what is dependable is 900. But what is available is 375 megawatts.
How can you be available when you are not dependable?
How they were talking was very silent. What it simply means is that at every point in time, if you have to call Akosombo, what they can give you, what is available is 375. So when you say actual, what exactly do you mean? You see, so they have contrived a narrative to confuse people. See.
What should be the narrative?
Yes. In 2019, the NPP, put together what is known as the Energy Sector Recovery Program. And I have the report, the final draft. In that report, even under Akufo-Addo, they acknowledged what the problems in the sector were. The problems. Of all of them, one is the non-payment of electricity bills by MMDAs. Because once you don't pay, the debt is there and it gets accumulated. Two, the IPPs, the power purchase agreements, the tariffs agreed and approved by PURC is in dollar terms. Through your reckless and incompetence, you have mismanaged the dollar. So now the dollar is at 12. So ECG buys the power from the independent power producers in dollars and sell to you and I in cedis. Who pays for the foreign differential losses?
It's part of the tariff.
Who pays for the foreign differential losses?
It's part of the tariff.
And you are not. In 2018, because of political experience.
The fundamentals are
exactly. In 2018, you took a political decision. What was the political decision? To reduce tariff. Now, when you did the reduction in tariff, people are consuming. Where would the excess money come from? These have become debts on it. But you see, in all of this, if you go through the Energy Sector Recovery Program and the challenges they have listed in that program, you will know that our friends in the NPP have completely destroyed the energy sector. Look, we cannot romanticize the issue because as we speak, the challenge is that later by 2026, if we don't ramp up, we are going to see another doomsday in this country.
And that's what the World Bank is saying.
And that is what the World Bank is all calling on us to begin to hold the power bearers now accountable for the reckless decision that they have taken that had brought all of us here. Look, if you look at the sector report, if after 3 years of implementation of a program, you are still complaining.
The 2018 report.
No, I mean the 2019 energy sector program, the program, Outlook. And the various, policy programs and others. What has happened to the World Bank recommended cash waterfall mechanism? They have decided to play cronyism, even with the mechanism, an objective program. They have decided to destroy it. If it's about vision,
and this fact is coming from where?
If it's about
it's
vision,
unbelievable.
If it's about vision and what you need to do for the energy sector, can you for a minute look at Ghana without a tribal gas project? Just imagine for a minute, Ghana without a tribal gas project. More importantly, Roland, do you know that but for the visionary leadership of John Mahama to bring ESLA, the legacy debt in the energy sector would have ballooned. But when they got the opportunity...
ESLA was a consolidation of existing legislation.
When they came to power...
How is that visionary?
When they came to power...
When they came to power... out as if to say we can't read.
When they came to power, do you know what they decided?
ESLA was an aggregation
they used
of existing legislation.
They
used ESLA receivables. They used ESLA receivables.
Please wrap up.
They used ESLA receivables.
This matter is getting...
Do you know what they did? They used ESLA receivables to go and set up what the so-called ESLA PLC, borrowed against it. And do you know what they've used the money for? They never use it to settle the debt. Today, ESLA is part of the debt restructuring that we are doing. So consistently, every good thing that you guys came to meet, you have destroyed it. You have destroyed Get Fund.
He says it's not true.
You have destroyed ESLA.
Please wrap up for me.
You see, these MPP people, like I always say,
let me take some messages.
Mark them against hypocrisy and you get 100%.
Right.
Do you know that when we brought ESLA to Parliament, may he so rest in peace, Akutosei and co, who were then ranking on the Finance Committee, among others said, ESLA was nuisance. And so with the benefit of power, they were going to do what? Do away with ESLA. We had a sunshine clause of 5 years. When they came, they saw the wisdom in the ESLA legislation. So they have extended it. Now we don't even know when it will end. And borrowed against it. And you dare now talk and say, oh, this is a... So you knew it was a consolidation. And you decided at that point to refer it as
legal practitioner. Thank you for joining me.
You have benefits.
Deputy Minister and also for energy MP for second day, Andre Japames.
You extended it.
Let me read some messages.
17 tax
Points. Yo.
From where?
Points.
Nuisance taxes.
I said you have extended.
No, please mute the mics for me. Mute the mics. No. You are muted. You are muted. You are muted. You are muted.
I understand.
Let me read some messages.
I understand.
It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate for Honorable Ken to hit hard on DMB. But you should also know Honorable Ken Japan doesn't get up and talk anyhow. Something must have been triggered. He hears everything they say about him. A direct response to what Honorable John Kuma must have said during the Vice President tour in a Juso constituency. They shouldn't have provoked him. And then he adds, I'm not mentioning the name though, Trese, Nanado has failed us, so when the vice becomes in charge, he will take charge of our finances well. Sometimes they do forget themselves when talking. Well. And then you also ask the question, who arrested the dollar and gave the keys to the IGP? Was it not DMB or it was MPP MPs? All right. So I have a couple of more messages. Let me just read a couple more and then we'll call it.
We all know that Baumia has never been present before. But the man
Musa Abattoir in Aswanse. The truth is beginning to emerge from the MPP presidential race. Kennedy Japan has emphatically stated that a self-acclaimed strategist has messed up the economy and wants to lead MPP. According to him, if Bawumia has something meaningful to contribute to the growth of the economy, he shouldn't wait to chop president. Therefore, he shouldn't be voted for. This one from Simon. He says, look at the MPP and then look at the NDC. When NDC say all the power purchase agreement had parliamentary approval, MPP always fights that reality. But today, Honorable Mesa is saying the loans they took had parliamentary approval. This country.
Meanwhile, they approve America and all.
I have this from Tony. Tony says, let's situate Ken's comment in the right perspective of doing business today. Ken, as a businessman, is talking about how bad Bawumia has led the economic management team and destroyed his businesses. His working capital is depreciating as a result of currency exchange depreciation and interest rates. His comment also bothers on high inflation, which is making businesses collapse. So he is a man who is talking strategy on the campaign. Is it not worrying? Now, this one also, okay. Now, this one is from Amadou Nafiu from Northeast Region. Honorable Mesa said the Vice President is not the only one responsible for the economy and its mess. But why is the Vice President attributing digitalization of the economy to him alone? Let me go to my streams. This one is from Mr. Michael Kofi Aflu, and he says that a number of allegations have been raised for which even Honorable Mesa has been named. If everybody wants to go or have a go at each other, we are not living here today. Now, Zuburu Zak, thank you for your message. Lawrence, as well as Gatula, and for many of you who have joined us on our streams, we're grateful. And Richmond Wete, you said I should control Japa. Japa is a very hard talker.
And you know, for him to say dependable is the same as the average available capacity. I mean, it's like... It's a no. It's a no-no. Because you see, there's a difference for the distinction.
Thank you.
Roland.
There's a difference. There's a reason for the distinction.
Why not start it?
I'll give you the contact.
I'll give it.